painter. The story opens at Mori's exhibition of 7 modern artworks, which has garnered significant interest and seems to be a success. Many people come to congratulate Mori, the artist, who tells the media that he has reached this point thanks to the beautiful model named Nana, who has inspired him to continuously create new works. While fans are crowding around Mori asking for autographs, a woman stops to look at Nana's painting. At first sight, Mori finds her captivating. He approaches her to ask what impressed her about his painting. She replies that his work is indeed well done, but while the model is beautiful, upon closer inspection, she seems to have a strange expression. Hearing her critique, Mori can only smile and laugh awkwardly. She then suggests to Mori that, if he changes the model, the outcome might improve significantly. The scene cuts to 2 days later, as Mori is creating a new painting of Nana. That day feels quiet, as if he is deep in thought, prompting the model Nana to ask if he is okay. He replies that he is fine, and compliments her, saying she looks even more beautiful today, assuring her that the next exhibition will surely be great. During their conversation, a woman's laughter suddenly interrupts them. When they turn to look, they see a woman from Mori's exhibition, who has somehow entered his home. She asks Mori if he is still using the same model. Upon hearing this, Nana questions Mori about who she is and why she is speaking so rudely. The woman introduces herself as someone who attended Mori's exhibition the other day and claims that Mori wants to use her as a model because he finds Nana boring. She looks at Nana and says that her expression is strange, which makes Mori lose his motivation to paint. Seeing Mori's stillness today, Nana starts to believe the woman's accusations and leaves the house without listening to Mori's explanations. Mori then turns to the woman and asks her what she intends to do. Because she just made an important guest of his misunderstand, she tells him that she can be the model instead. Since it has come to this, Mori agrees to let her be the model, as deep down, he also wants her to participate in the work. While she is posing as a model, he asks for her name, and she tells him her name is Tomi. She explains that she knows his house because he is famous and has the largest house that everyone recognizes. She adds that no girl would dare to do this if she weren't beautiful enough, but she is unsure if Mori can capture her beauty on canvas, as no painter has managed to do so yet. She expresses her desire to preserve her beauty forever. After Mori finishes painting Tomi, when she sees the artwork, she laughs and asks if he is joking. This makes Mori wonder what is so laughable or unattractive about his painting. She tells him that it doesn't even capture 10% of her beauty, which is quite disappointing for her, as she had high expectations. After saying this, she walks out of the house, telling Mori goodbye, and that she no longer wants a lousy painter. Mori is left standing, confused and wondering what kind of beauty she was referring to. That night, Mori was still stuck in the curiosity of what was wrong with his painting, which made him want to paint her even more, because he wanted to capture the beauty she referred to. Mori then started to paint her again, but no matter how he painted, he was never satisfied with his work. Eventually, he began to drink heavily. One day, while Mori was sitting at a bar, he ran into Matsuda, a friend of his. Matsuda asked him why he chose to hold the exhibition, wondering if it was because he was sick. Mori didn't want to explain, so he just went along with it. Matsuda then told him that Iwata, a sculptor, was starting to gain attention because he was unveiling a new piece, which seemed to feature a model. Matsuda praised the model, saying she was truly beautiful. Hearing this, Mori wondered if Iwata, who usually sculpted ordinary things, would really start sculpting models. His friend suggested that perhaps the model could inspire Iwata to change his style. Matsuda even had a photo of the two of them walking together, which he showed to Mori. However, the photo accidentally blurred her face, making it hard to see. As soon as Mori saw it, he immediately recognized that it was Tomi. This prompted him to go to Iwata's house in the middle of the night and knock loudly on the door. When Iwata opened the door with a weary face, Mori brought up the new sculpture, expressing his desire to see it. However, Iwata told him that it wasn't ready to be shown and tried to close the door, claiming it was his. Mori refused to leave easily, insisting that he wouldn't go home until he saw if Iwata could truly capture Tomi's beauty. He declared that if Iwata wouldn't let him see, he would use force. Before long, Mori attempted to break in and struck Iwata on the head with a sculpture, knocking him unconscious. Mori then entered the house, repeatedly calling out Tomi's name as if he had lost his mind. Inside, he encountered numerous damaged sculptures of Tomi, as if Iwata had tried to sculpt her over and over, but was never satisfied. Next to them, he found Tomi standing silently, looking at him for a moment, before she ran to hug Mori, crying. She said she was very scared. Because Iwata had damaged all the sculptures, claiming he wanted to create a statue that resembled her. This made her heart race, as she thought she could preserve her beauty. However, despite that, Iwata had ruined all the works beyond repair. Hearing this, Mori promised her that he would fulfill her wish and create her beauty on canvas himself. He vowed to do it. Upon hearing this, Tomi was very happy. After that, Mori dedicated all his skills to trying to paint Tomi's beauty on the canvas. While painting, he couldn't stop praising her beauty, which she didn't deny. She even mentioned that it wasn't the first time she had heard such compliments, adding that she had once been nearly killed by a man because her beauty attracted many, leading them to want to cut her into pieces. As he finished the second portrait of Tomi, Mori turned the painting around for her to see. However, the image looked strangely unrealistic as her face appeared frightening, and there was another face beside hers. To make matters worse, there seemed to be a cut mark across her neck, as if it had been severed. Upon seeing this, Tomi felt angry and called Mori cruel, saying he was the worst painter. Mori was puzzled, as he thought the painting looked beautiful, wondering why she would insult him like that. Tomi insisted that she was not a monster, so why did he paint her that way? Mori maintained that the painting was not as she described, and urged her to look at it carefully. She might look at the painting again, so she threw it away. Mori kept asking her what was wrong with the painting, urging her to point it out, which made Tomi, who was angry, laugh as if she were a bipolar model. Seeing her laugh at his work made him furious, and he went on to choke her until she died. That night, in the dark, the sound of chopping flesh echoed, revealing blood, and pieces of Tomi scattered throughout the room. However, the severed parts of her body began to regenerate, as if her cells were multiplying continuously. Mori realized that she was a woman with truly terrifying abilities, as the pieces of her flesh were growing into another version of her. Before the scene ended, Tomi's eye, formed from one of the flesh pieces, called out his name. Blood test results. The story takes place in the middle of a mountain where Alsai and Kana are experiencing car trouble on their way, not knowing how to find help, especially as it is getting dark. They decide to leave the car behind and walk along the path to find someone to assist them. However, after walking for over an hour, they still see no sign of people or houses until they come across a cabin, which gives them a glimmer of hope. Alsai notices a group of children sitting together in the cabin, so he calls out to ask for help. However, the children's gaze towards them is frightening and empty. Alsai asks the group where they are from and inquires if they have a phone they could borrow, to which one child coldly replies that they have no phone. Alsai then asks if there is anywhere nearby to find one, but the children do not respond and exhibit strange, eerie behavior. Suddenly, all the children start to tremble, prompting Kana to suggest that they should try to walk away from them. Then the two walked cautiously through the steep grass and out to the other side. But Kana noticed that the group of children was following them. He told Alsai to turn around and look. The children had strange and frightening expressions, and they were holding sharp sticks in their hands. Alsai asked the children if they had a problem with them, stating that if not, they would continue walking. The children did not respond, only staring at them with terrifying eyes. As the two turned to walk away, the group of children suddenly ran towards them and struck Kana on the neck with the sharp stick, causing a bleeding wound. When the children saw Kana's blood, their expressions changed, and they lunged at him like carnivorous animals pouncing on their prey. Fortunately, Alsai managed to help him in time, and they ran away until they were sure the group was not following them. Kana remarked that he didn't think the children had come to suck his blood, and Alsai had also been bitten on the hand. They thought the children were just playing, but never expected it to be this serious. After a while, Alsai pointed out to Kana that there was a village ahead, but it looked like an abandoned village, devoid of people, with many houses' walls stained with red, resembling blood. They were still unsure if the stains were blood, and there was also red liquid on the ground, with some debris in it. They chose to overlook it because they needed help more than anything. The two continued to look around to see if there were any people living nearby until they came across a house that seemed to be the most intact in the village. When Alsai knocked on the door for a while, someone finally opened it. Alsai explained to the homeowner that they had car trouble on the road and wanted to borrow a phone to call for help. However, the homeowner said it was unfortunate because he also had no phone, and mentioned that the important thing right now was the woman, who was Kana, as he noticed the bleeding wound on her neck. Alsai explained that she was hurt by the local children, which did not seem to surprise the homeowner, who then invited them to come in and treat her wounds. Alsai asked if those children lived in this village, to which the homeowner replied no, as he was the only one living there and did not know where the children came from. Meanwhile, Alsai complained about their bad luck, mentioning that they had no phone and that the sun was about to set. The homeowner then suggested that they stay at his house for the night. Alsai asked the homeowner if he had been living in the village for a long time. The homeowner then shared that he had indeed been there for a long time, but his current mental state had led him to this situation. Upon meeting Kana, he was reminded of someone important to him, a woman who lived alone and constantly complained, while her child avoided her and refused to come near. He felt a desire to push her away, and she expressed a wish for her blood to escape from her. One night she realized that even her own child did not want to be close to her, leading to a tragic event where she used a razor to slit her own throat. The blood that flowed out was something he ended up tasting. But shortly after, something strange happened when the wound on her neck transformed into a vine-like structure with blood clots growing from it. This made her even more convinced that even her blood wanted to escape from her body. The blood continued to grow, while her body aged, leading him to wonder if the blood truly wanted to leave her. He could hardly believe that the blood had taken on a form of its own. Eventually, her blood became a living entity that would exist forever. That night, Alsai woke up in the middle of the night due to a headache and noticed that Kana was not in bed. He went out to search for her, and along the way, he found red stains on the ground, resembling blood, before discovering a room filled with thriving blood clots. After a while, the homeowner spoke up, saying that everything he saw was the young woman he had told him about. He walked in to touch one of the blood clots, and remarked that the warmth from it indicated that she was still alive. Upon seeing this, Alsai asked where Kana was, and what had happened to her, but the homeowner replied, asking if he was dreaming, as Kana was resting in the room next door. Didn't he remember? Before he could walk out, he told Alsai to rest, because he looked very tired. At that moment, a dry voice of an old man softly urged him to flee. When Alsai turned to look, he encountered the figure of a thin man who seemed to be food for the blood tree. The man explained that he was a villager from that village, captured and buried by the homeowner, who had destroyed their village years ago, using a demon to turn the villagers into blood trees that bore blood. Alsai realized that all of this involved the people from this village, creating a blood farm. The man urged them to escape quickly, or they would end up like him. Upon hearing this, Alsai hurried to find Kana, and told her they had to flee. However, at that moment, the homeowner followed them in and said they couldn't escape because they would have to return anyway. He pointed out the blood tree that had begun to grow on Kana's neck. Despite their desire to escape, the homeowner did not stop or hold them back. After walking for a while, Kana felt very tired and asked if they were safe now. At that moment, Alsai's gaze fell on the blood tree growing on her neck, and he noticed that. In his mind, he recalled what the old man in the blood room had said. The only way to deal with the growing blood tree was to consume the blood clots that had sprouted from oneself. However, anyone who consumed their own blood feel an insatiable thirst for fresh blood, unable to control themselves. At that moment, Alcai noticed that Kana was sucking on the blood clots from her own body, which would likely be the end for both of them.